everybody.
How's it
Hope
going?
everybody's doing well tonight. Welcome to OLC, Old Line Cryptids. Our brother Jerry's not going to be joining us this evening. He's caught a little bug around 5 o'clock and not feeling real well. So that's how tonight's going to be. You're stuck with Jeff and I and our special guests. So thanks for joining us again. Let's welcome to the show Katy G and the Dogman. Well, Dogg. We won't call him the Dogman.
All right, keep on, y'all two.
So, Jeffrey,
I was
go ahead.
Send a message saying, keep y'all two straight tonight.
Hey, you ain't got to worry about me. It's that guy over there. Well, thanks for being with us, guys. We appreciate that big time. Jeffrey, how you doing, brother?
Oh, it's been it was an interesting weekend. My girlfriend's mom had a stroke. My aunt decided to catch the back of her car on fire while we're cleaning out the family cabin before we sell it. And let's just say that she gets too much stuff going on at one time, and then she leaves a winch attached to a battery in the back of her Subaru, and something arced on it and caught a bunch of stuff in the back of the.
Oh man!
She put it out with a case of soda. It's all right. I was trying to get up the trail with the truck and the fire extinguisher to get up there, but I think I set a record on that trail. I don't think anybody's ever drove that fast on it before.
Jeff, you have some of the most interesting things that happened to you or you've done. I'm telling you, brother. Katy G, how you been?
I've been doing really, really well. Like Chad, thank you. I mean, just it's been busy waiting on a grandbaby to come.
Yeah.
Just crossing my fingers. We're aiming for September.
Got another one coming, huh?
Yes, this will be number 11.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Damn.
I've got a cat with me tonight.
I bet you're tired all the time.
I am. I'm doing really well after my surgery. I've some pain issues on the inside, but that's because they took out a lot. But I'm getting better.
Good.
Really appreciate my prayers. It's really made a difference.
Awesome.
Every prayer. And I thank you, each and every one of you.
All right. Brother Dogg, how you doing?
I'm making it. I'm about like you, Jeff. Things are going on these days, but hanging in there and trying to get day by day, making it happen.
All right.
Making it happen.
That's the way to be. Well, We've got you two here tonight. We're going to discuss some things about what you experienced at the old Hollands hunt camp.
Well, there's a lot in her history and my history, if depending on how far back y'all want us to go, or if y'all want us to stay with the hunting camp.
That's up to you. I love all these experiences. They all interest me. We don't want to have a super long show, but you can tell me anything you want to tell me.
And we can always have you back for part 2s or
that's right,
3s or 4s or.
But
I thought we'd close it down at 12 o'clock tonight.
You thought wrong.
Thought wrong.
Thought wrong.
Maybe if I was by myself, I might try to pull one of those.
You have before.
Oh, I pull it all the time with some of these yahoos in chat by ourselves till 3 a.m. sometimes.
So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll start with Katy G. Tell us about your experience at the last Hollands trip, which was when what?
June.
June? Okay.
Yeah, it was back in June. I went mostly for fellowship, to see friends, to meet people. I never go anywhere looking for an experience. I never try to elicit an experience, a response, or anything. I find I don't need to. I really don't want to. It's kind of one of those mama told me not to, I don't think I want to things for me. And this was my second time going out to Hollands. The first time I stayed wound up tighter than an 8-day clock, I was really nervous, afraid of what I might experience. And I did have experiences, but, well, less than I did this last time when we went in June. We got into Sylacauga after having stayed overnight in Hollands in October. I wasn't going to stay overnight again. And so we got a hotel just, up in Sylacauga, which was about 12 miles away from the site. And we just drove to the site because that was just for my mind. Excuse me. Allergies. But we got into Sylacauga Wednesday afternoon and went by the hotel and dropped our things off and then rode out to the site to say hey to everybody that was already there. We only stayed about maybe 3.5 hours because we'd driven in that day. We were tired. That was our first day there. We were leaving. Nothing had happened while we were in the camp. And we left at about 7 o'clock. So we came out, we pulled out and turned back towards Sylacauga and got about 40, 50 yards down the road. And I saw in my right peripheral a motion of something like spinning and ducking, like when somebody were suddenly turning their back to me and squatting down. And I told John, my husband, I said, I just saw something. I said, stop, back up. And we're looking, and we backed up probably about 40 feet to the area where I had seen it at. And I'm looking out through the woods about 45, 50 feet off into the woods. And all I can see is a big root ball, like from a tree. It was kind of brownish red, dirt colored. At the edges of it, it's like if you've ever pulled up a plant out of the dirt that had very fine, thin, hair-like roots. At the edges of it was that, and they were kind of trembling, like if there was a breeze that was blowing them. And I was looking at it, but I was looking for something to have made, that would have made that motion, that movement. And John asked me, he said, what did you see? And I said, well, I don't see anything now. I don't see it. I said, but it could be behind that root ball. And he said, what root ball? And I said, that big root ball right there. And he said, I don't see a root ball, but I see a big stump. And I said, I don't see a stump. Where do you see a stump at? And we're having this discussion. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I said, whatever. I said, maybe it was just a bird diving down to the ground. I said, I don't know, but it seemed really big. But we just left and we went on. We went back to the hotel. And the next morning, which was Thursday morning, we were coming in. And he asked me, he stopped about maybe 100 feet down the road from where I had seen it at, and where there were 3 trees uprooted and they had the root balls up in the air. And he said, which one of the root balls was it behind? I said, this isn't where we saw it at. I said, it was further down across the creek. He said, oh yeah. So he pulls down further down, and we're both looking off, and there's no root ball. There's no stump. There's just woods. Nothing that was in the area. And we rolled back thinking we'd went too far. We rolled forward, and we never saw a root ball or a stump. And that was weird. And it was like, had us questioning what we saw the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on into the campground. We were sitting there, and there was a group of us. We had 3 shade tarps set up, and we were all sitting around under it, talking, socializing, fellowship, just enjoying each other's company. And there was a couple that had camped down at the bottom of the hill in their camper. And they were, at the time, the only ones down there. And it's down in a dip, and they had come up the hill from it, and they had left to go out. They were going into town. They hadn't stopped. And I was looking down towards where their camper was. And this was probably about 11 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere around in there. And I'm looking down the hill, and the way the wood line runs is it runs down, and then it kind of cuts out. It makes like a little pocket in there. And in that little pocket, the air looked funny. it looked like it got opaque, just dense in spots. And I was looking, I was like, am I seeing? I'm looking around, and it was not. It was overcast. The sun was shining, but it wasn't foggy. It wasn't misty. It wasn't enough. There wasn't enough light for there to be like a ground fog, like from the dew drying or anything coming up. And it was past that time of the morning. And I'm looking at the air, and I'm watching it do this funny thing where it would get thick and you couldn't see through it. It just would be like you could see through it, and then the next second it was almost like a checkerboard of spots that would get thick. And I said to one of the other people there, I said, come over here. And I pointed down the hill out towards it, and there was nobody down there. And I said, look down my arm and where I'm pointing and tell me what you see. And he told me, he said, I see it, but I don't know what it is. And we watched the air thicken and get dense and then go away for several minutes till finally I got up, and I and another one of the campers walked down there. And as we got closer, there was nothing. We didn't see anything, didn't feel anything. Everything just felt normal. So we walked back up, and that was strange. That night, we left. My husband and I, we left to go get lunch. I think we visited the Kaimolga grist mill, went back by the hotel, then came back later that evening at about 6 o'clock in the evening, 6, 7 o'clock. And again, we were sitting around just, a few more campers had come. When they were playing music, picking guitars and singing. And it had gotten late, and we were waiting on you, Chad and Erica. We were waiting there. And it was getting kind of late. It was about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And they were, like I said, they were playing guitars and singing songs. And I was looking up at the moon through the trees, and I was sitting there thinking it would be really neat to get a picture of the moon in the trees, looking like it's in the tree branches. So I got up and I walked around behind everybody, and there's another set of campers there that had a camper that they had built in the tongue that was built on a trailer, and the tongue of it comes down and makes a ramp that goes up into their camper. And I was behind that, which put me behind the group where everybody was sitting by about 20 feet. And I'd taken a picture of the moon, and I was looking up at it, and it was pitch black out there. Outside of where everybody had lights set up, it was pitch black. And because it was kind of cloudy, there wasn't a lot of moonlight, a lot of starlight.
Right.
And I looked back down, and I looked toward the group of people, and I realized I'm seeing this green, like tangerine-sized ball, kind of pale green, floating around, and it, and my first thought was it was because I was having like a sympathetic images because I had just been looking up at the moonlight, and I was thinking I'm seeing the moon, And then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, it's bouncing this way, and I'm not looking that way. If you see a sympathetic image, it kind of goes in the way you're looking.
Right.
This wasn't. It was moving independently, and I had my camera out. I switched to video, and I started filming it. And I filmed it for a few seconds, and it was over the tongue of that trailer, and it was just moving around. And then all of a sudden it shot off to my left. And when I looked at the video, I'm not sure what happened. If it was something with my phone, something with resolution, I'm not sure what. It looks like somebody's got a pinpointer, like a green colored pinpointer making the light move. But I saw that. And then with just in a few minutes of seeing that, I'd stopped video and I stopped listening, and I realized everybody was talking and it was kind of loud. They weren't singing at the moment. And I realized I was hearing all this breaking. I heard like a gruff sound. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't a grunt or a groan. It wasn't a huff. It was almost like something tried to say a word, but in a very gruff voice. And that was, where you parked at. It would have been behind your car, or that back area. Trying to remember which way you parked. Y'all nose out. Y'all are nose out. So it would have been towards the back of your car, and in that section of woods there in front of that camper trailer. I started filming again, and then everybody started singing. So, but under kind of like over the noise of the singing and the playing was louder, but I could hear sticks breaking, shuffling, and I heard 2 wood knocks It sounded like something was in the woods. And boy, I got myself back around on the other side at that point. I'm like, okay, chicken May kicked in. I went back around. Even though I never felt fear this time. I felt more hyper aware. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't be off here 25 feet away from everybody else in the dark by myself. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Then that happened Thursday night. Friday, we had been in and out. We did the same thing. We would go early in the mornings. John and I would leave for lunch and go do something because we were trying to see little bits of the Sylacauga area. And I think we went to the Bluebell factory that afternoon. And then we came back that evening, and everybody was hanging out, and another camper had got there. I'll go ahead and say his name because he's told our story. Roger Williamson got there, and he was parked alongside the woods, that same stretch of woods where all everything was coming out of. And I went down. John and I were preparing to leave, and if you've ever talked to Roger, you don't say bye, Roger. You go talk for an hour.
That's an hour and a half, 2 hours Southern. Yeah.
But we went down there that night. This was Friday night, and he and Heather were sleeping in their truck, but they had a shade tarp set up, and he was sitting under it, and Heather was sitting under it. And I was sitting there with him. I was sitting on a cooler, and my husband was sitting on the tailgate of Roger's truck behind me. And we're talking, and Roger's just talking, and he started telling me. He was telling me he was saying he didn't hear well. He relies on Heather. And I kept looking back over my right shoulder where the watermelon was. I know you know what watermelon I'm talking about. And there had another camper had put a watermelon at the edge of the woods, and it was like right next to Roger's truck. There was 2 feet between Roger's truck and that watermelon. It was amazing. But I kept hearing noises, something off in that direction, back over my right shoulder. And I kept looking back, and he was asking me, "Do you hear something?" And he had hardly got those words out of his mouth, and something came flying through the trees. I mean, it was like you could hear it just coming through the trees. And I jumped up and I said, "Time to go." I said, either a pine cone just fell zigzag out of a tree, or something just got thrown. And he got up and he looked with the light. We heard it hit the ground. I wasn't gonna go look to see what it was. I didn't care. It was time to go. That hyper awareness kicked in, and I'm like, they're throwing things. They're telling me to get out. I'm getting out. I told Roger, I love you. I hope they don't eat you in the middle of the night, but I'm gone. The next morning was Saturday morning, and Roger, bless him, he done poured bacon grease on that watermelon. So he was double risking it then. And Saturday, we were there most of the day and into the night. That was when they did the fireside. Mark and Becca did. We all ate. A lot more people had come in just for the fireside chat. And I don't recall a single thing happening Saturday. And once again, same scenario as the night before. It had gotten about 11:30 at night, and I was going to tell Roger bye. So I'm preparing for at least a 30 minutes conversation. And I walked down there, and another camper was sitting up behind him, and there was another camper sitting there with him. And we're sitting there talking, and Roger says, "Hold on, I think I see a red." He said, "I see something red." He said, "I don't know if it's an orb or eye shine." And he's pointing off back towards your car up in the trees. And when he said that, I'm looking, the eye level, looking something low. And he's saying, "No, it's higher up." And I looked up and I saw this red orb and it kind of dimmed. Like it's hard to describe. It didn't get dim, but it seemed like it got smaller, then a little bit bigger. Like its size would vary, and it would kind of move up and down a little bit. And Roger and I watched that for a good 5 minutes, and then I came to my senses again and said, "Okay, it's time for me to go." And told everybody good night and left. And then Roger went on to capture that the footage with Flat Rock's camera that he got. But other than there just being a weird feeling, you felt a presence when you were there, especially if you were there when it was just quiet and not a lot was going on. I just felt like there was a presence there, just all around us.
Well, you're not the only person that I've heard that from. Having been there twice, I've heard that both times we've been there. Is people said that they just get weird feelings, and I wondered if it was like maybe the fact that we're sitting on all that quartz, or because when we were that Saturday night Friday night or Saturday morning before we got out and noticed the fingerprint on our vehicle, we had, while we were laying there at one point, I felt something hit the vehicle. I really didn't think it. I thought maybe Erica was shifting.
Yeah.
But then I felt vibration as we were like a cell phone going off.
Yeah.
But heavier than that. So, I'm looking forward to going back there, after the experience, but it makes you get a different feeling being there.
Yeah. You feel something in the air. There's something. It's kind of like by the pricking of my thumbs sort of thing. Kind of weird. When we were there in October, I had that vibration sense, feeling something vibrate. It had both a sound, it was like a hum, but it also had a feeling, a sensation. I could feel it in my chest, my jaw, like a vibration. That happened in October.
When I said that we felt something bump into the vehicle, neither of us said anything to anyone. And then the morning, I said, man, I woke up, felt like somebody had hit the vehicle or bumped up against it. And Erica said, I felt that too. I just didn't say anything. Well, it's 3-4 o'clock in the morning at the time. So that's some pretty wild stuff going on there for sure.
Yeah.
And especially, when you talk to like you and everybody else that's been there, just the things you hear.
It's something.
Yeah, for sure. Dogg, how about you, brother?
I don't know if I need to speak or not, but I'm going to throw some stuff out there. Let's put it that way. I was invited down this was my first time camping down there. Nobody warned me when I went down there. Thanks, brother. He knows what I'm talking about. He may be in chat. I told him to come in chat tonight. But I got down there later than I was supposed to. I got down there Tuesday. And I set my car up, my SUV, my little minivan that I stay in when I camp out. Where you was at, Chad, my first night was down there where you was camping.
Okay.
I backed in just like you did. Well, we was hanging out with everybody under the canopies and stuff, talking. Well, I got tired and it got late, and I was going to go down there and crawl in the back of the minivan. I was going to crash, sleep. When I got in there, I had all the windows up. I wasn't hot that day. Well, I locked the doors just, for safety. Locked the doors, laid down, trying to sleep. And my body, something done something to my body. That's all I'm going to put it that way. My body started twisting and shifting and moving without my control.
Oh,
and
wow.
I know it sounds crazy, but that's the way it felt to me. I mean, my body changed, and I had no control of it. Well, that's what happened that night, and it finally passed. So that Wednesday morning, I moved my minivan up there beside our other camping partners. Well, they were hanging out, doing everything like that a Wednesday night and everything. And I don't remember what night, Wednesday or Thursday night, they was playing music. Well, I had walked over to my minivan away from them for a minute, and something, I ain't gonna say hit me, but it gave me, I got cold. I mean, just freezing cold in the middle of June there. I wound up putting a jacket on, walking back over, and Brother Billy made a comment. He said, "Why are you wearing a jacket?" I said, "I'm freezing." And I reached over and touched Billy on the hand with my hand, and it was like a chunk of ice, he said. And I stayed cold for the longest that night. Well, that was the second thing that happened to me. And I was by myself over by my car then. Like I said, everybody else still gathering around and playing music and whatever. Well, during this time, something or some things was tearing the woods up over there behind where another camper was at, behind where the porta potties was at. They're like they're tearing the trees apart over there. And I heard all kinds of stuff breaking, rumbling around. And see, they had some food over there in those woods too. Well, that food come up gone, from what I was told. And I'm not going to go no further than that, but that's what I was told. But those in there's where all the racket I heard when I was breaking limbs, ruffling around through the woods. I mean, it was loud. I could hear it over the music that they were playing. Well, after they got through playing music and I got tired, that was probably, well, another thing that happened to me was Thursday night. And I think that's not like playing music. I went to bed again, but I was sleeping in my front seat of my car this time. Windows up. Some other campers come in during this time too, and they were staying around. But something came along my car late that night or early morning hours. And you ever heard how a chalkboard squeaks when you scratch it? Something's claws was on my car, running down through my side of my car or on top of it one. And it woke me up out of a sleep.
Wow.
And I never seen nothing around the car when I heard this, but it woke me straight up out of a sleep. And I also seen the air changing or bending. I'm going to use the word bending because that's what it looked like to me. But it wasn't in the same area as where Katy seen hers. Mine that I seen was over there towards the porta potties. And I sat there and watched the air move and bend for the longest over there before it went away. Now, what's causing that, I don't know. I have been told from other people, it's their thoughts on it when I told them about it. And I don't know if I need to tell y'all what they told me. People think I'm crazy anyway. Just throw it out there. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. My own son thinks I'm crazy. So I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not going to call them names.
We're all crazy.
But they said, these other people say that I've been talking to, that it was portals trying to open up in them areas. That's what they thought it was.
Okay.
And I got to thinking about this not long, just pretty recently, about what we seen, the bending, the moving of the air. And I'm beginning to wonder, was something like that going on that first night when I was down there camping where you was at, Chad, with my body shifting and moving like it was, and I had no control of it? I'm wondering if they tried to open something around me there, and that's what affected me that night that I was at camp. Just a thought. I mean, it seems the way that I seen myself, seen the air move and way it's shifting and bending. And I didn't see what Katy seen at the other spot, but I seen what I seen over by the bathrooms. But it made me think, could that been something down there when I was camping the first night that made my body do like it did? Was maybe they was trying to change to move the air or open a portal maybe? And I was in the way pretty much or something. I mean, I don't know. It's just my thinking. But something happened to me that I can't explain.
Right.
And I had no control of the way my body was doing at that night.
I want
to
ask you and Katy a question. When you saw the air moving, was it stationary or did it like move across? Move.
Okay, I'll let her go first.
What I saw when I was seeing it, it didn't move. Like It didn't float like a mist. It jumped a little. It twitched, I guess I would say, but it stayed in the same area. For one split second, though, there was a section of it, and I don't want to say checkerboard perfect, but there were sections of the air that didn't. It was in a certain area, but there were like little pieces of air, some bigger than the others, where it was just thick. I couldn't see through. It was like if somebody had suddenly pulled one of those frosted shower door closed, and couldn't see through it. Everything else around it, I could see fine. No changes, but in those certain areas. And there was one area that was kind of biggish, about the size of a window pane. And for just a split second, it snapped. Part went sideways one way and part went the other way. Like if it split in half in the middle and one way went left and one way went right, then it snapped back. That's the most movement I saw it make, although it did kind of seem to twitch in the air, and it would fade out and come back, and it would be in different places. But I didn't see it like waft or move. It never did like a fog or a mist or anything like that.
Okay.
I've seen a weird, I don't know what you would call it, like a fog or mist, something along the lines of what they're talking about in the yard last year, floating across my driveway.
But yours was moving, right?
It was like it was like a black, like almost like a cloud, but it was like it had a, mind of its own.
Huh.
It was like a dark looking. It was weird. I was on the phone at 11:30 at night with Barry Browning, and this thing just floated across my driveway like a dark cloud of energy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
And it like, it was moving, and I was like, what in the, I stopped talking, and I'm like this, standing on the front porch. And for like, probably like a good 8 minutes, I didn't say a word while he was talking, and then I had to stop him.
Huh. Before you get started, Dogg, Roger said Heather saw the vapor cross the road at LBL. So maybe what you're, saying, maybe that is something. Maybe it is a portal or something opening up.
Well,
or camouflage.
I'm not sure what it is. Like I said, I've talked with other people, and they think it might be a portal or something like that opening up. Is what they thought. But what I seen, I'm going to use manipulating the air. I mean, you can see it moving the air a different way, and like, I can't remember the TV show, but there was a TV show like that before. And that's what made me think of the TV show. Is the way the air was moving. I could see the porta potty, but between the porta potty and where the wood was, I could see the woods and everything. But you could see it. It was thick enough that you could see it moving over there, and it done it for a little bit. And I stood there and I watched it, and then it just kind of went away. And I did tell a couple of people, and I told Katy when we talked on the phone too about that. And that's when she told me about what she said, because she never did say it neither until I brought it up. And it was weird the way it done. And no, I didn't video it or take a picture of it or nothing, because it kind of was surprised me when I walked around there and there it was, and I seen it. You kind of was like stunned or shocked at it.
Yeah,
and,
I never stopped once to pull my phone out. Never once. I had my phone. It was in my hand. I was sitting there in the chair with my hand on my phone laid on the arm of the chair, my hand on top of it, and all I could do was look at and just try to watch what I was seeing.
Yeah, because it was you could see it, and it was weird the way it was done. I mean, it was unreal. But go ahead.
It was mesmerizing to watch.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, seems like it was.
I think real quick, I think the only thing you can really do, because I haven't been in that situation yet, but knowing that when you see something and you don't know what it is, the first thing is the shock. It's like you said, stunned. What is that? Yeah. You're not automatically coming up with a camera to take a picture, and then you got to fumble, and by that time it's probably gone. I think the only way we're going to catch some of this stuff is to constantly have like a GoPro on, the whole time you're there or whatever, and try to find stuff that way.
Well, I don't go down there. It would be my last thought anyway, because I'm not trying to catch or prove nothing. Like I said, I go to meet and greet, not boogers.
Well, I went down there just to meet everybody. I was asked to come, and I told them, I'll make arrangements and I would come down there. And I was invited, so that's why I went. I wasn't going down there to research because I have no reason to go to research. I have seen things in my years from since I was a kid to this day now. And if we don't need to go there, I won't go there. But I have seen things. I know what's real. I have put my eyes on it more than one time.
Yeah,
in different areas.
Yeah, we'll probably hit some of those. I wanted to get the Hollands thing out of the way because a lot of people haven't got to talk about their Hollands trip and what experiences they had. Because there's always, from the first time I went, which would be the first Woodwalkers meet and greet there. We only were there one night and wasn't even really we weren't there long. We got there later and we didn't have any time to do much of anything, and there were so many more people for that. But there were still experiences coming out of that trip. Wood knocks, eye shine. People heard grunts and howls and the fake owls, that type of thing. So it just seems like every time we go or people go, Mark Green, when he goes there, they hear something. So there's definitely something active there. We just have to, maybe next time I'll come down with a GoPro and just keep it on the whole time. I mean, that's about the only way to do it. I mean, there were other people that had experiences there, and I'm not going to mention names. That's up to them to tell their stories, but they saw things move. They saw eye shine. They saw orbs as well. So it's there. It's definitely there. And a lot of people say, Dogg, that it's around the porta potty area. There's been, a couple shadows moving around the porta potty area, and unless, they're waiting for a door to be left open or they're waiting.
They're trying to catch everybody at their vulnerable moment. That's
exactly. Yeah, because I know I went there. I this last trip I had to go I had an emergency at about 1:30 in the morning. And the last thing I was thinking about is there's some big booger down there behind the porta johns waiting for me. Like, if there is, he's going to get me. So whatever. But yeah, it's just always something happening.
Always something happening.
You take the thermal to the porta john.
Well, I just ordered a night vision. I'm not rich enough to order a thermal yet. So I ordered me a night vision. We'll see how it works. And I'll take that everywhere I go down there. But Dogg, if you want to tell us some more of your experiences, feel free.
Well, I don't know if y'all looked through my Facebook page or not, but there's some pictures I had posted over when I first opened it up over there. The first Bigfoot I've ever seen, I was between 6 and 7 years old, living on 40 acres. I headed down from the house to the barn, turned the corner, went in front of the barn, and a white, I would say Bigfoot. I thought then when I was a kid, a monster. That's what my first thought was. Standing at the back of the barn. Because the woods line and stuff and the high grass was right behind the barn. It wasn't far at all. But it was standing in the hall of the barn at the back of the barn. And its head didn't like much touching the beams coming across the second floor up there of the barn. And it dipped down as it went back toward the barn. The floor lowered down, dirt floor went down lower on the back end of it. And we kept chickens down there. We kept a hog down there, some goats down there at times. Daddy had game fighting roosters he raised up. He kept pens all around down in the barn, behind the barn. And yeah, at that time, we did have a couple of good roosters come up missing. We thought they were stolen. But now I'm beginning to wonder what happened, really. But
Yeah, I was going to ask if you lost any goats or if you remember losing any of the other animals, but chickens, yeah, that'd be.
yeah, we lost chickens.
What state was that in? Was that Tennessee or was that Alabama?
Alabama. North Alabama. Not far from where Roger lives. Let's put it that way. Where I lived then was south of Roger. Probably, I don't know, 20-minute drive south.
Now, are you still in the same area or are you further from there?
I'm further away now. I'm close to Lake Gunnersville now. I'm probably 10, 15 minutes from Lake Gunnersville. And I have seen stuff over here on this mountain that I'm on now. A couple of years ago, I have heard screams or howls where I used to live over in the other county. Like I said, back over in there, same county where I seen the first one.
Yeah.
I had hits on my house where I lived at. I'd drive the gun, turn the lights on outside, walk around the house, nothing. Go back in there, lay the gun down, get ready to go to sleep. They pounce on every wall of the house, all the way around the house. I'd get back up, go back out there, didn't see nothing. I thought it was a deer at first until I got to watching everybody and watching YouTube channels. And now I'm thinking, well, it probably wasn't a deer. Because behind that house was a holler back there. And that's where I heard that big, loud scream. I mean, it just vibrated. It was so loud from the holler down in there behind me. And from that point, I was probably 2 miles, maybe a little further from the river. I wasn't far. And that went on for every night for a long time.
Wow.
But I never seen nothing at that point. Well, then I seen another Bigfoot. I've seen 2 in my life. Over here on this mountain where I'm at now, going across a green field. Early one morning, about 4 o'clock, a little after, or maybe 4:30, because I was heading to work. And my headlights hit it out there in the green field. And it didn't even acknowledge the lights hit it or nothing. It just kept walking. And from where that green field is to the nearest huddle house, wasn't but a half a mile or a mile away from the city. It wasn't far. And it was walking that way towards the city area from where I lived at. That same area where I seen that one at. I carried my boxer bulldog outside to use the bathroom one day. And me and him both heard another scream or howl down in the wooded area below us at the house. That dog got so scared, he would not go outside to use the bathroom. If I'd go out the back door and let him out and unleash the leash, close the door, he'd be at the front door and then jump the 3-foot fence and be at the front door banging in the house. He didn't even use the bathroom. I had to leash the dog and carry him out to go to the bathroom for 3 or 4 days. And he wouldn't even walk away from me to use the bathroom. He would squat right where I was standing beside me, and he would poop or pee right there beside me. He would not leave my side for nothing. That dog was more scared than I was. Do what?
You know it's bad when a dog like that's doing that.
That dog was full-blood boxer. I mean, he was good, had good bloodlines. He come out of New York, and he was 2 or 3 years old. He wasn't no pup. I mean, he was young, but not no young pup. He was pretty good sized, dog, and he would not go out there. I could not let him out the front door or back door. I'd have to leash him and carry him outside every time for the longest.
Wow.
And it just got weird. Well, that's the only thing I've seen over in here. I dropped my son off at a different area. It's about 40-minute drive, 30-minute drive from here. And I coming up on the mountain, go down to a little old valley. And I was driving at that time a 2016 Chevy Cruze. And it done got dark. And I had something jump my car. And I thought I done hit it. It was that quick. But I didn't. Jumped the hood of my car and cleared it on 2 legs and black. And the first thing I thought of was a werewolf. Was the first thing thought come to my mind. Because to me, I could see didn't look like no big ears, but little ears sticking on the side. I seen a snout, little snout, black, fuzzy hair, pretty thick hair. And then it was hair on the arms and down the legs. But it was muscular, but nothing like the Bigfoot that I've seen. And it jumped my car, and I turned to look to see where it landed. I couldn't even tell where it landed at.
Wow.
Because it happened that quick. But to this day, I go through there every other week, same area. There's one house on that whole area. There's more houses on other roads back further. But there's only one house close to where that creature jumped my car at. And I can carry Chad or Jeff, either one of y'all are down here anytime. I can carry y'all to the right exact spot where I seen this creature. Any one of them creatures.
Dog
It's all private land. It's all private land. I can't get no better locations. And when this people that owns down in that valley, if I'm not mistaken, they own pretty good spread of land down in there. Because some of them farm it down in there. They bale hay and they put corn out and they put beans out some and stuff like that.
Know a lot of those people, Dog?
Huh?
You still know a lot of those people that live there?
No, I don't know them kind of people that much. Now, where I used to live, I used to know a whole bunch of people back there where I seen the first one. But the land's been sold and separated and split up now.
Now I got a question about the first one.
Back when I was a kid?
Yeah, didn't you say you thought it was an older one?
I don't know if it was an older one or not, but it was solid white. It looked solid white to me all over. And it was big. It was muscular. The second one I seen was the same color. And me and Spencer, he questioned me about something. And I didn't think nothing about it until he asked. Spencer asked me, he says, do you think it was the same one that followed you? And I told Spencer, I said, 60 miles or better for me to drive to where I was located then than where I'm at now.
And how many years later was it?
Oh, God. Many years later. This was, the second one I seen was roughly between 2016, 2018.
And when was the first one?
When I was between 6 and 7 years old, so 79, 1980.
Huh.
There's a many years difference. But
Unless it's just a white gene.
Well, they say there's a lot of white ones up in this area. Now, I've only seen 2 different ones. Are they the same one or are they different ones? I don't know. But I have seen two different locations. I have seen in 2 locations a Bigfoot.
Here's the question now. If it's white, it's going to have a really hard, if it's white, it's going to have a really hard time hiding. So you kind of wonder what does it do to hide? Does it cloak? I mean,
I don't know. My brother and them, I come to find this out later on. Now, I'm going to throw it out there because I was thrown out to me too. Oh, they were teenagers, young men. They were accused of smoking pot back out in the woods, is what they were accused of doing. But they have seen the same creature that I had seen when I was a kid. But they seen it back over where our 40 acres we was on. There was land all around us. Pasture land, farmland all around us. Swamp land, there was swamps all back in there. And they was over there where the swamps was, and they said they seen it over there. They said it ran by them and jumped a 5-strand barbed wire fence like it wasn't nothing. They went looking for it. It was 3 of them, my brother and 2 of the boys. And they said they couldn't catch it. But they did said they found some bones further back in there toward the swamp. They didn't know what the bones were, but they found some bones there on the ground.
Huh.
Now, this land where they were at now is more overgrowth and more thick of woods than it has ever been. Because back then, they farmed it, a lot of it. Now they don't farm it. There's where the farmland used to be, there's big trees, 20, 30 foot tall now, all the way to the other road, to the road I lived on. It's so thick in there now, you can hardly walk through there.
Wow.
And back then, when you cross from the field part to the wood line, you start going into the woods, and it was so thick in the woods back there, you could barely work your way through. It was so thick in there.
Damn.
And there's snakes in there big as your leg. I'm not kidding. There's some big bad snakes up in there.
Wow.
We've seen them. We know they're there. There's the other ways going into that place from another creek line. Follow the creek down, but it's snaky and it's dangerous.
Dog, Jerry's got a question here for you. Was it a bright sunny day when you seen the white one?
The second time it was dark and it was early one morning. The first time it was in the evening. It was daylight, but it was in the evening.
Okay.
It was in the afternoon. It's probably, I mean, it's been many years ago, but if I'm not mistaken, it was probably around 4 or 5 o'clock. I remember wearing a t-shirt back then. It was still warm.
Did you, when you saw that the first time, not when you were a kid, but the first white one, did you tell anybody? Or were
Yeah,
you,
that was my first one that I told. And my mom and dad thought I was lying. They didn't believe me. And then, like I said, when my brother seen it, they thought he was smoking pot. That's what I've heard. And I mean, that's crazy. But I was between 6 and 7 years old when I seen that creature. Now, I don't know if my brother seen the same creature or not, but he was in the other section of the woods with 2 other friends, supposedly hunting, when it came by them, and they, like ran right by them.
wow.
And it's crazy. If you knew the area, you would understand how thick and what I mean by snaky looking it is, because it's really overgrowth and thick down in there, and it's swampy back in there, bad swampy back in there.
Now, Roger wants to know: was it a bright white or a gray white? Was it white like my beard?
Yeah, I'll say it was white like your beard.
Okay,
I can't see you that good, but I mean, because our pictures of us, it looks like you're about this tall.
Okay, this is pure white. So okay.
Yeah, it was white looking. It wasn't shiny white that I can remember, but it was white.
Okay.
But I like mine white. Mine got a little bit of black left in it, but it was white.
Huh, that's wild. That's
Tell Mr. Roger to hop along when he's ready to go. We'll go. I'll carry him to a place I got over here now that is deadly silent. I'm not seeing nothing there, but it'll give you the chills getting out of the car with that place. It's just unreal. It's dead quiet. No crickets. Right there by the water, too. Right there by a creek. Bluffs on one side of it. You can't hear nothing. Not a bird twerp. No animals movement. No crickets. No frogs. Nothing. Deadly quiet. Something's in the woods, and I told my wife when I went down there, I had my sidearm on me, and I said, "Stay close." I said, "Something ain't right here." I said, "I can tell." I said, "There's something down in there." And she said, "Oh, that's okay." And I don't know if she understood. My wife's Spanish, and I don't know if she understood me or not. She's probably watching me right now, so I may want to cut my throat later, but she's not here with me right now, but she's watching live. And but I told her, I said, we need to be careful. And we walked down to the water, to the creek, and we're just hanging out, looking, taking some pictures and stuff. And I think I put one of them on my Facebook too. One of the pictures of that place, but it is. It's scary, quiet down there. It's weird, and I
Wow.
don't know who owns the land around there because it's a main road that goes through there, and it's a bridge there. And we went down beside the bridge and went off down there to the water, but it's just deadly quiet. And it ain't about 10 minutes or so from here where I live now. It ain't real
Huh.
far away.
Hey, I got a question for Katie. I'm assuming, do you camp often?
I have. I do camp. I don't camp as much now because my body's not as fond of it. But yeah.
Have you ever had the sort of the same feelings you've had at Hollands anywhere else?
Oh yeah. Well, I've never experienced it, but I've had several times where I would get like the creepy feeling. A feeling like I need to reevaluate all of a sudden. Whereas I'm thinking, I'm good. Then all of a sudden, wait a minute, stop and check yourself. That's the only way I know to say it. It's like, wait a minute, something's not right.
Yeah.
I've had times where I have washed over feeling, but I've never, ever, ever done like primitive camping. I've camped in tents. I've been in campers, RVs, but I was always in an established, give me a concrete pad and electric because I was never brave enough to go that deep in the woods.
Gotcha.
But
I was just
been camp or hike something and had those feelings. So
I was just curious. Maybe you have some sort of sixth sense about you that you can, maybe you're.
I forage now. I do go foraging a lot for herbs, wild herbs and stuff. And some of the places I go to, I try not to forage anything from off the roadside because a lot of plants will take in toxic metals.
Sure.
So I get off the roadside into fields and stuff down, or sometimes when I'm looking for quartz to nap, I'll go down through dry creek beds or low creek beds. And there, I couldn't count. I couldn't tell you how many times I've been out doing stuff like that and got the get the pay out of Dodge feeling. And I don't just go. I mean, call me a chicken, but
You're not a chicken. You're not a chicken.
Yeah, I'm hypersensitive to that. Ever since my first encounter, I get what I call the washed over feeling, which is, for lack of a better way to describe it, it's a few seconds where I just feel out of control of myself, like where I can't lift a finger, can't talk, just a doom feeling come over, and I scatter when that happens.
Sort of like a type of anxiety, maybe.
I guess you could call it that. It's unaware anxiety. I just feel like I just have a few seconds of feeling helpless, like something shut my self will off, and it's like the fight or flight. Yeah, fight or flight. Yeah, and it's like that moment of when that hits on, and usually I choose flight because if I don't see nothing, I don't square up. So
yeah,
but a lot of times I go out, I see footprints all often. I don't ever cast them because I don't carry casting material with me because I'm going to chuck an extra 15 pounds of
right.
buckets. And if I see that, I automatically just leave the area. It's like that. It's, this is something I've dealt with.
Do you think that, I don't want to get deep into this, just, do you think that your first big experience gave you a little bit of PTSD maybe?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
My first experience in Point South without going in, nobody wants to see your one good eye. Now go on.
It's amazing my dog hasn't jumped up here because this beagle loves to sit in my lap. If the lab wasn't so big, she'd probably be sitting on my lap right now too.
Yeah. He's trying to tell me it's time to get ready for bed. But anyway, my first encounter, I had no inclination of Bigfoot, boogers, what they were, and I thought I had seen a werewolf. And I did a lot of reading about werewolves, and let me tell you, there's not. Even though what I saw didn't have a snout, it didn't have ears, it didn't look like your American Werewolf and London Werewolf. It looked like Lon Chaney. Well, didn't look like that, but the closest thing I had was the Lon Chaney Jr. werewolf.
Right.
And in my reasoning, I figured it had to be a werewolf because it looked too much human, too much animal. And I read a lot about werewolves, and there's not a lot of literature where any kind of interaction between human and werewolves, it ends up well for the human. So I gave myself PTSD thinking that, a man eater was going to come get me one day. So I think a lot of my PTSD comes from my own belief that,
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Dog, how about you, brother? How often do you go camping?
Well, I used to go do a lot of camping back when I was younger, but this year was the first time I've been down there at Hollands. Yeah, I hadn't been in a while, but I used to go a pretty good bit. We used to go up on the river banks, just throw a tent up or sleep out there on sleeping bags, whatever.
Right.
And different places. Like I said, when I was growing up, we had land all around us. I stayed in the woods the whole time. Most time when we was not in the yard, we was down in the fields or in the woods or wandering off all the way over to the next road, which is a good ways over crossing. Then we didn't know what property lines was. We just went everywhere because we were kids. We'd cross a barbed wire fence, or I learned my lesson. We crossed an electric fence. You find out it's electric when you grab a hotel one. I'd done that once before. Grabbed one, thought, oh, it ain't hot. Grabbed it, and it bit me real good.
Yeah.
Hey, Dog, I got one over here that we bought when we started having some trouble with some of the other fencers not having enough juice. I would not want to be caught on the wrong end of this one because it's meant for 109 miles of fence. It's called the 109 miler for a reason.
Yeah. We, when I was working out of Elkmont, we was putting up 100-mile fence charger boxes on just 1,000-foot area. We put 100-mile boxes up. We put 2 of them up. We'd have a stem wall, and we'd put a fence on it, and then on the interior of that area, we'd also run another 100-mile fence box. And them things hurt. I've got hit by one of them too. Not meaning to, but I did get hit by one.
Even them little boxes, you got them on a short circuit, not a real big fence. You're going to regret backing into it or whatever. Because one time I was pulling the calf up out of the ditch that was right next to the fence, and when I stood up, I forgot that the wire was right behind me.
Uh-oh.
That sucker caught me on the back of the neck, and I went down like somebody had shot me.
Mm-hmm. It hurts. It does. It scares you and hurts too. But right now, where I'm working now, we're running 10-mile boxes on a short area too.
That's right. You're working at that chicken place.
That farm, yeah.
Yeah.
This Leo here, and let me get your guys' opinions, Katie and Dog and Jeff. This gentleman says, but all jokes aside, they're running out of hiding places because the growth of man and maybe tired of hiding. Now I know I watch way too many shows, and I hear too many experiences, and the shows are getting more and more, it's getting to a point where I'm seeing so many different guests on these shows and hearing so many experiences. I mean, do you guys think this is something that's happening, that more people are seeing it because they're running out of, they're tearing woods down to build condos and buildings and stuff like that and taking their territories away?
Go ahead, Katie. I'll let you answer that first.
I think there's a lot of plausibility in that. There's definitely a lot of habitat loss for both just, any wildlife, anything dwelling in the woods, spending most of its time in the woods. However, I've also come lately after my October trip to Hollands. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They I've come to believe that they can pretty much go wherever they want to go, and you cannot see them. Call that the woo if you want to, but based on my experience when I was there in October, and I was sitting outside my tent, and car lights came up the hill, and on the side of a truck that was parked across from me, and I saw a shadow, the perfect outline, and I even saw it move, take a step, but sitting there looking straight out 15, 20 feet in front of me, I didn't see a thing. Not a single thing. But when the car lights cast in front of me, it hit something that put that shadow on that truck. And I saw that shadow, I saw its shape, and I saw it move. But just with my eyes, I didn't see a single thing.
Right.
I've come to believe that they can, or I'm coming around to believing that they can mask themselves, trick us into not seeing them. I don't know what they do. I don't know how they do it. But at this point, I believe you could practically be sitting in one's lap and not know it. Based on my experience that time.
Right. Dog, how about you, brother?
Well, I've been into a lot of chats and I've been into a lot of YouTube stuff, and I've done a little research on my own too about things when I get time. And I think their hair is the way it's made helps them. I ain't gonna say reflect, but change the light the way it hits them. That's what I think. And the cloaking, I'm not sure. And I ain't gonna say that they do that or don't do that. I mean, it's very possible, because I know from a guy that made this comment. I won't give his name. He's a well-respected guy. Said that at camp that we had several Bigfoot around our camp a lot during them days. And I don't know if they was watching over us or seeing what we were doing or what. But I tell you another thing, to get off of Hollands for a minute. I was laying here in my bed, sound asleep, and I'm in city limits right now where I'm at. And I heard an owl so loud, it ringed through the whole area, and it woke me up out of sleep. And it done one or two calls or whatever it done, but it was extremely vocal, with the voice.
Right.
And do I think it was an owl? No, I do not. At the volume that it let out, I do not. And do I know where it come from? Yes. There is a patch of real thick woods just in walking distance of me.
Uh-huh.
It ain't a big patch of thick woods, but it's some thick woods over close by. And I think over there is where it come from. Now,
You just brought up a good point there. I was talking to Barry Browning the other day, and he lives in town,
yeah,
and he's heard them whoop on his street before. And around the same time, the neighbors were complaining about peeping toms
yeah.
around the houses, but they never. I don't think anybody ever found anything. But they kept getting the police department he kept seeing cops out there, walking around the sides of the houses.
Hmm. I do believe they come up into the towns or maybe even some of the big. Well,
Yeah.
another gentleman's made a comment that he's caught them in the bigger cities too. Sneaking in. So I believe if they want to go where they want to go, I believe they're going to go. Let's put it that way.
There was a guy, I can't remember what channel I was watching, but I think he's in Texas. I think think this happened in town. He got a call that this woman kept saying that one was looking in her windows, and this was in the middle of town.
It's possibly in a subdivision, probably or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very possible. Very possible. I've got woods from where I'm sitting. It's a patch of woods behind me. Little thicker spots up this way of me. And then over here behind me, it's real thick. They just went in there not long ago, and I don't know why they done it. They went in there, it was another patch of woods. They went in there and leveled them. Didn't do nothing with the lumber. They went in there and cut everything down, pushed it up. They left it. They didn't even do nothing with it.
Now, we had the opposite happen over here in the next door near the peninsula, where we don't give that out because stuff's up there and don't want the wrong people poking around there. But I went to an area where a guy that we know that's been on the show before has found a lot of tracks, and it was like this little sandy area down by this picnic spot.
Yeah.
And I went there with him last year, and he hadn't been there in a while. And in that time, they had went and planted that whole bottom in pine saplings.
Yeah.
Everything around that sandy little area where they were catching all these tracks, they went in there and planted just trees all through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. You know why they done that too, don't you?
Yep.
Give them cover.
And in Mississippi, Barry was telling me that an area that he used to go to a lot, I think they closed off access to a bunch of those roads that go back up in there.
Well, that brings up a point for me is that, I've talked about this on many shows, is the fact that the Forestry Service closes so many parts of national forest.
Yeah. And they'll shut down like a recreational area or something and just close it off.
And they'll say they're, maintenance, or I mean tree maintenance, or, brush clearing. But those areas stay, and I've looked at some of these things and they've stayed closed pretty much forever now. So it makes you wonder if they're hiding something. We've talked about that before. It's just, it should make you curious and question it,
We've got to be careful. We don't want to hurt the channel, but if you wander off in any of them areas, I would advise you to be very, very careful, because there's things going on out there that they don't want nobody to know about. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There is another person. I can't back him up because I don't know him that well. Made a comment on another channel that he was down in the forest. I don't know if he was hunting or whatever, but he came across a high electrical fence around the area. And it was posted, no trespass. And this was in a national forest, but it was deeper in.
So you're talking chain link with...
I'm talking high voltage fence.
With chain link.
Not like chain link.
Electric fence.
High electrical fence run. High voltage fence.
Now, why the hell would you have that in the middle of a national forest?
To keep something out or to keep something in? One or the other.
I think it's to keep something in.
Possibility.
Well, it could be to keep us out and keep whatever it is in there.
Yeah.
Possible. I posted some stuff on my Facebook. I mean, I don't know if anybody pays any attention to it or not, but it's come off. Listen, it's come off of YouTube. It's something I've listened to and watched into. And there's been other reports of these same things. So go back through my Facebook. Look, there's even a container that they're talking about in the national forest out in the middle of nowhere. And Jeff, come get me out of jail, because if I keep talking, I'm probably going to go.
Well, one of the things I tell people is my son has a professional drone business. And part of the training to get the particular drone license he has a photography and whatever else. He has a deer hunting service that they hunt. Deer shot.
Yeah,
Because
they find
areas,
people, which is
there's
awesome.
areas he's not allowed to fly that drone over. I know airport areas, but he'll say, if I get near a national forest, I can't. There's areas where there's no fly zones that you can't take a drone or anything over. So
That's exactly right.
You should definitely question that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
what the hell is in there that they're worried about you seeing on that?
whether it's a military operations in there, a base, whatever that we don't know about, or it's something that they're hiding from us that they don't want us to see, like what we discuss here. So I don't know.
They were talking about adding. Somebody brought it up, and I don't know if the man down there that lives down that way, if he brought it up or not, but he said that they were adding another 50,000 acres to Talladega, or they were trying to add more land to Talladega. So that's going to make it even bigger now if I get that land.
Yep. So yeah, what else? Yeah, that's just crazy to think about. Crazy to think.
You know what I was going to ask you, Dog? Other than that one time you seen the Dogman, werewolf, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's whatever. I don't know for sure what the name of it's called.
I can't remember. Is that the only time you've seen one?
So far, that's the only time I've seen one. I have talked to a man recently at camp. I told him about where I lived, and he turned around and looked at me and he made this comment. He said, "Where you're at, there's dogmen all over that area." That's what he told me. Now, I have seen one so far in my life over there in that valley. Now, have I seen any more? No. Have I heard different things in different areas? Yes. And speaking of, I didn't bring this up. We was over at the lake with my family and my son-in-law. They're from Mexico. He let out a holler over at the lake, over by the state park. And he got a response just a second or two later across the river back to him. And that was just a couple of years ago. And I've asked him to redo that sound again, or I can record it and send it to me. He says, I don't remember how I done it. But he made a good call out over that water. And he got a response back just in a couple of seconds.
I made a call back here by myself one time, and I scared the hell out of myself, and I haven't done it back there since. I thought I seen something coming across the cornfield, and I did a coonbow exit, and let's just say it was impressive. I thought I was going to blow the old farm truck up that I was driving off out of there. It doesn't run the best anymore, but damn if it ran good that night. I mean,
well, every once in a while you got to blow the set out of them old trucks,
I tell you, if there had been whatever been in my way would have been in trouble if I was coming.
Well, Jeff, I'm gonna throw a little from brother to brother, a little advice out there. If you start camping down this way, Tennessee or Alabama, anytime near the near future, you might need to get either a SUV or a van or something to camp in and get away from that hammock.
Because one of those U-Haul vans, I'll just drive it.
Brother, you might get taken away out one of them little canopies you sleeping in out there.
Tacos, yeah. The last time when I was camping with Bud, before that I was in one of those booger tacos this year when I had those ones talking across from me on the other side of the fire.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can't do anything about it, so I just went to sleep. But when we were at up here by Gettysburg, I was in that wonderful tent that Pat Noble sent me. That, man, I was listening to the wind hitting that thing all night, and I was in one of those cots, which is way nicer than trying to sleep on a mattress.
Yeah.
I can actually get up and put my shoes on and not have to, roll out of the thing or fall out of the hammock. And I had a friend sitting next to me on the floor just for emergency purposes in case a hand or something came up against the side of that.
Yeah, my friend, even though I'm at home, my friend is sitting about 7 inches from me right now.
Well,
And I always got my friend with me when I go somewhere. Always, because I never know.
I have more issues. I'm more concerned about the, as DA refers to it, the greater North American meth head. And there's kind of weird stuff that happens on my road here at the farm. So there's always something nearby.
There is always something nearby every time you turn around.
Hey, Dan.
But yeah, it's you got to be careful. And I've been told, somebody's told me, she says, what you got, you need something bigger because it ain't gonna help. I said, well, it depends. I don't got it, but just if in case something happens, that's the only reason I got it.
Well, it's funny you say that because I hear everybody like, well, I'm going to take this into the woods with me, and I keep this on my side. And we've heard so many experiences of people shooting at, maybe hitting, but we're not finding anything.
Yeah. So that's why I don't recommend anybody do anything like that unless it's absolutely.
And I've seen I watched a podcast. I don't know if it was a podcast or it was a show. I only watch YouTube. I don't watch normal TV because it's a joke. But watching documentaries and these guys were out to hunt a Bigfoot. They wanted to kill a Bigfoot. And they were talking about their guns and everything. And I was just like, what if you kill one? Okay, you've proved they exist, but now you've pretty much pissed off every other one. So
and
now
the government's going to show up and take the damn thing.
Well, that too.
They're going to kill you before you get out of the woods.
Yeah, going hiking in the woods now is going to be dangerous for everybody. If this started to become a habit, people just going in and shooting Bigfoot or, whatever, or Dogman, it doesn't matter. Just, it's nice to have that protection because it makes you feel protected, whether it's a 10 millimeter, a 357, a 44, a 12 gauge, 10 gauge, whatever. It's probably, not the brightest to pull it out on if you see one. You don't want to take that chance.
Exactly.
I've also
as long as you're not getting hurt, you don't pull it.
Yeah.
Now, if you got something coming at you and you don't think it's going to stop, then you're going to have to use your best judgment at that moment as quick as you possibly can to decide what you're going to do. But I have been told, and I've heard people say, you shoot at something like that, and they have the family or the clan around with them, and you shoot one of them, they will come and hurt you and kill you. I have been told this. Now, I'm not going to the woods looking for them. I don't go to the woods to hunt for them or hurt them.
Right.
I went down to the Hollands just to visit with friends, meet new people, hang out with the one that invited me. I went and hung out with him, and just like family. That's all I went down there for. And I kept my side piece in the car, unless I went into the woods with some other people, and then I put it in my back pocket. But did I carry it out in my open hand? No. And I am licensed to carry in 32 states. It's what I'm licensed to carry in at this moment. But I don't do it for any reason to hurt anybody or anything. I do it for my safety only, just in case I have to pull it.
Well, that's how it should be. That's how it should be anyway.
Yeah, my daddy always told me, son, don't never pull a gun unless you're going to pull the trigger. Don't never pull it unless you're going to pull the trigger. That's
how it works. That's how it should work.
That's what he's always told me. Now, my son, to this day, he's be 22 his birthday. I can lay any kind of weapon down on a table or counter or couch or bed. He'll look at them. He won't raise a finger to touch none of them until he asks. He'll ask me, can I touch this one? Or is it loaded? He's always, since little, I've taught him that. I've laid him down. I said, don't touch it. You do not touch that. until you ask me permission. And to this day, he still won't touch one unless he asks.
Right. That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, the worst thing is not teaching them.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you don't, then they're not going to want to know what to do if they do find one. So,
Yeah, Dano of the Cryptid podcast brings up a good point. If you go in the woods looking for them and you think you're being stealthy, don't kid yourself. They know you were there the second you entered their area.
Yeah. Soon as you pull down in the road, they know you're coming.
Yep.
All animals, if they're aware, they know you're there as soon as you're entering the woods.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's y'all think I'm like I said, y'all think I'm crazy anyway. And hello to you, Dano. Before I went into Hollands, I rolled my window. I didn't get out of the car, but I rolled my windows down. And I spoke out the window. And I told them, I'm here to go camping and to meet new friends and with some friends. I said, it's a family thing. I said, I'm not going to bother y'all, and please don't bother me. That's what I said. And I said it loud enough for anybody to hear me when my window's down, because I was just barely creeping along. But I spoke this the whole way into Hollands down there. And then that Tuesday night, I had that to happen to me. And then me hearing and getting the cold feels that other night, and then hearing the claw marks on my car that next night. I don't know if they were just teasing me or it was something different. I think there's something else down there at Hollands, is my opinion. I think there might be something evil down there, and I'm going to say it that way, and I'm going to leave it alone. I may be totally wrong, but I do believe there's something else down there.
To me.
Huh?
We
You're
don't.
not the only one that's told me that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, just my thinking.
Right. Katie, how do you feel about that?
I think there's right. I think he's right. I think there's a different entity outside of what we might consider boogers. I don't know if it would be a Dogman. I've never seen a Dogman. Don't want to.
I didn't want to see that one either, but he did. He jumped my car hood.
I'm crossing my fingers that at least I can miss that. But there is definitely a sense of a duality there. There's I'm trying to think of the right words to put to it to describe it. I get a sense when I'm there of something that's there that does not care about anything but itself. Maybe not necessarily out to do you harm as their purpose, but if you come in their sphere, it will do you harm. And then also a more, for lack of a better term, benevolent, not necessarily friendly or welcoming, but not what's the word? Taking pleasure in doing harm.
Right.
So
That's a good. Bud brings up a good question. Was there a battle, massacre, murders at the campground at Hollands? You know, maybe that's the eerie feeling. Maybe it was a battleground. Maybe there's. We don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not. Mark will know more about all that stuff than I do. I don't know what all went on down in that area, but I have heard things, and I can't prove it because I ain't been down in there researching. You can back off in the forest like that. But I heard that there were some small mounds down in there somewhere. But I don't know.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if there was a massacre or something there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, so Northwest Native Tracker says native lore tells of 200 to 240 different cryptids besides Bigfoot. Now, one of the things that my wife and I are going to do a show on one of these days are about animals that we have thought are extinct, and then they show up hundreds, thousands, some of them millions of years later and they're here. We're also finding new creatures every day, whether it be water creatures, land creatures, air creatures. We're finding every day new animals. So what that tells me is that why couldn't you believe that Sasquatch or Dogman or some of these other 240 cryptids, we can name them all, but I did a show on Mothman, Chupacabra. How do we know they don't exist? We don't know every animal that exists now. And if they have lived for as long as we think they've lived for, they obviously know how to hide. They obviously know, they watch us. They learn our characteristics, just like we watch other animals when we hunt and we learn their characteristics. So I totally believe that all these creatures are out there, that they're doing their best to hide from us. Sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't, sometimes we hear them. But I totally believe they're out there. And this is coming from a guy with a fingerprint experience. I haven't got the experience that you guys have. So, you believe with your hearts that these things exist. I believe with my heart that these things exist. So I think it's neat that you come out and you are sharing your experiences and people get to listen to these. And a lot of people seem to be really open-minded about this more now.
Yes.
And I say that because here in my small town, I can ask somebody, I know this might be a funny question, but have you ever seen a Bigfoot? And they'll straight up say, well, no, I haven't, but I saw this or I saw that. And it's like, okay, so these people aren't afraid to talk about. I mean, if you ask them about it, they're not afraid to tell you. They're probably not going to just go out and start talking about it. Yeah. So it's just interesting that, the different things you hear and see, and, I'm hearing so much more and experiences like you guys have had that just, it amazes me. It's so awesome to hear. Whether I want to have one of those or not, I think I do, but I don't think I want my wife involved. I think she's tough. Don't get me wrong, but she might not camp with me anymore, and I don't want that to happen.
Well,
that's why my girlfriend doesn't go camping with me.
Yeah.
I've got somebody blowing my phone up in the background. That's why I smiled while ago, throwing little comments out there instead of doing it on chat. But I'll take care of that person later. But I want to throw something out there. I've noticed when we was at camp, certain person called, well, let's put it this way. That certain person got the attention of something in the woods. Let's put it that way. And I think that's the reason that they came up to your car that night, Chad, is because they were in the woods watching y'all set up and they seen your wife. I think these creatures they seeing the women and they see some children, and that's what they're leaning towards.
I've heard that.
And I'm just throwing this out there. Don't get mad at me. But they see a beautiful woman. Well, these creatures may pay more attention to that area.
Yeah, if some dude like me walks to the Porta-John, I don't think they're really going to be that interested.
Well, they come up to Chad's car, and Chad knows what they done. And they scraped my car. I'm not pretty, but something got my attention scraping my car. But what that was, I don't know. I know it woke me up, but Chad got more detailed stuff happen than I did on that part. There had to be a reason for that.
Yep. Yeah, Renee Drew. Yeah, it's dotted out, but yeah, girls on that time of the month thing. That could be part of it too.
Any animal, for an example, a goat, they'll know when a woman is that time. The goat will know. They ain't got to be walking right there beside them. They know. So other animals can know that same thing too. And women hiking or out, especially what I've seen lately, a lot of them solo camping by themselves. I may be thinking now I'm a crazy old man, but I get in them chats and I tell them, I said, look, I'm not trying to ruin y'all's party, but y'all need to be careful out there.
Dog, in the same breath, I'll say this, that it could also be, and I don't want to scare anybody over this, but breeding purposes.
It's possible.
I mean, I don't
It's
want to,
very possible.
not to go in the woods, but that could be as well. It's something. Look, everything we talk about here is pretty much just what we think because we don't know.
Exactly.
And that's, everything we're telling everybody and everything that they're telling us. This is all just
our opinion,
our feelings, our what we've possibly experienced. So, I've been on so many, I've listened to so many people and their experiences that if you're like a cold case detective, you're listening to this going, wow, okay, I can get an idea of what these things do, but I can't tell you what they do every time. It's like,
right.
There's a pattern, but that pattern could be different the next time. People will talk about it throws rocks, it beats wood up against trees, it does this, it does that. But then you hear people say, well, I've never heard anything, but I've seen them. So it's so different. And it's just all of us sharing experiences. That's how we have to learn about these things a lot of times.
Yeah. I mean, I've got into so much stuff lately when I've had time and watched, and can I back it up? This is what I found on YouTube. But these people give certain locations in certain part of certain states that makes me think that it's accurate what they're talking about. And I will go back and I will pull up if they say, for an example, Huntsville, Alabama. Okay, I'll go up and I'll do research if anything like that came up in Huntsville, Alabama. But I recently come up with something that I've heard on YouTube about South Alabama that I didn't know about. And what I heard about it was creepy, very, very creepy. And there was supposedly, and I ain't had time to research this, just going by what I watched, some deputies come up killed. And the sheriff wound up retiring a little bit after that. And he was there with them when all this was occurring. Now, like I said, I ain't had a chance to back it up because I ain't had time to research it. But what I've heard recently, and it's a little town down in South Alabama. And it's something that happened there. And they say now this area is closed off, concreted up, and nobody's allowed in there now.
Wow. Hey, Katie.
Yeah.
Has your husband has he seen any of this that you've seen, or has he experienced any of it with you?
The only thing that he's experienced was this last time at Hollands. I have to think. I said I saw a tree root ball. He said he saw a stump.
Okay.
There have been other occasions, not at Hollands, where things have happened. And I know he's seen it, or I know he's heard it. And he is so pragmatic. He is so very... When we were at Hollands in October and we did camp and we put up our tent, there was something moving. You could hear it clearly in the woods behind us. All day, all night, the entire weekend, there was something back there. You hear twigs popping, limbs popping, not like the big snap of a tree, but just in like leaves brushing, like if you walk by a tree and you brush the leaves, that noise. We were hearing that, and I was telling him, I said, there's something in those woods back there. And he said, woods make noise. I'm going to lay down. And he said, there's always something in the woods. We saw an orb go across our front yard, and he said, it was a lightning bug. I'm like, lightning bug my rear end. I said, I had to ask, like, I never think, because it was the size of a baseball. And he said, it was a lightning bug. One time we were up at Brown Mountain and something was making a god awful racket, huffing and coughing and chuffing up in the woods. And he said, probably a bear. I'm like, well, it was the biggest bear I ever heard, Loud. It was a big noise. I mean, he's very, very pragmatic. He will very much be like, yeah, he'll it was this, it wasn't that, I don't know how he feels about it. As far as some of the spirits and ghosts, he has been more like, like that was weird. He's been more when, there's been like a spirit or a ghost nearby, or like going to my great aunt's house, which was the most haunted place I've ever been in my life. Even he got the creepy crawlies there. But as far as Bigfoot and other things like that, he tends to brush it off as something, normal. The woods make noise. It was a lightning bug. It was a bear.
Yeah.
The only thing was just this past June where I think he kind of had to do a little bit of a step back and go, maybe there is something to this, is when he thought he saw a stump. He thought he was looking at a stump, and when we come back the next morning and there was nothing there, neither a stump nor a root ball, just nothing. And that, I think that was maybe a little bit of a turnaround moment for him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Jeff.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Brown Mountain?
I've been there. I've seen the lights. It's been a long time, more than 40 years. I think Brown Mountain is a place where there's like a power exchange where the earth lets off energy, or maybe takes in energy. The Brown Mountain's lights that when I've seen, they're not like an orb. They're more like blobs, like sheets, blobs. It's a very mystic place. If you've ever been there, you can't go, and it's kind of similar to Hollands in that you can't go and feel like there's something there or something been there. So, have you ever been?
No. I've always been interested about that place.
Yeah, same here. I've always been interested in the Brown Mountain lights. I'd really like to see that.
It's about an hour and a half from me.
Is it?
Been several times growing up as a child. We used to have family that lived up in Lenore, up above us, and we would go to visit. And a lot of times we'd be coming back at night from visiting them, and we'd stop to see the lights. I can't count the times. We would stop sometimes. We saw them, sometimes we didn't. I'll tell you, by my experience, it being the fall, like going into winter, like late October, November, early December, seemed to be the best time to go and see them. I don't know if that is related to anything, but having seen them, when I saw them, I didn't feel fear. It was just like, wow, there's the lights.
Right.
But it's a very mystical place, very mystic.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Even if you like going through, you feel the area. The land feels alive.
That seems to be the general consensus of everybody that I've ever talked to about it, for sure. I mean, you've got the people that I'm definitely not being mean to your husband, but we'll say that it's this or it's that. It's not, what you think it is. And that's normal human nature to me. Yeah. But I like to think outside the box. It's not something natural. So what is it?
Yeah.
I don't try to give it an excuse. Well, that's got to be a deer. I don't know what it is.
He's never ever made me feel bad about my.
Good. He's a good guy.
Me.
Yeah.
But he himself is just like, I don't see it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So
up here we have Chestnut Ridge in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I've heard of that.
All sorts of crazy stuff happens on Chestnut Ridge.
Well, up near the Brown Mountain Lights, up near Jonas Ridge, Lenore, Morganton. There's a lot of area in there that a lot more goes on. You always hear about the Brown Mountain Lights, but there's a lot. There's a Jonas Ridges kind of eat up that whole area with mystical places.
Now, how far is that from Brown Mountain, or is that on Brown Mountain?
Oh, Jonas Ridge is like cheek by jowl with Brown Mountain. It's all in the same area. But there's a lot of places in the northern part of Cleveland County going into Burke County. There's a lot of places where stuff happens. People won't talk about it.
Yeah.
They just don't. But locally, it's known. If you go up here, you know, something, you're likely to have something happen. So it's, but there's a lot of areas like that around.
That's like that area around Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I agree, Phyllis. I agree. Well, hey guys, what are we done here? Wow, hour 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's up to y'all. Like I said, we can go 12 o'clock if y'all want to. Now, I got to work tomorrow, too. I know Jeff does, but that's up to y'all.
I'll tell you what. I won't make a deal with you because it's not my place to make a deal, Dog. But they'll probably, you talk to Jeffrey and Jerry, there'll probably be a part 2 if you want there to be. If you got more to talk about, be a part 2.
It's up to y'all. I mean, like I said, we talk about whatever and anything. I mean,
we got to get Dog on Beards and Boogers one night.
There you go.
I just cleaned up now. I took my beard away tonight. I left my book.
I went from this long to this.
I know.
So we're good.
Well, David Blaylock started growing a beard after he started hanging out with us. So
yeah, but now he disappeared on us.
Yeah, I ain't seen that much from him lately. I didn't know what's going on with him.
He's working.
Season started this weekend, so I think
working and hunting.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm planning on getting back out there and doing some stuff. Maybe something else will come up. Just hope it ain't too bad. And that way we got more to talk about. But, you know, I've always been, look, when I'm on the road, traveling from here and yonder, and I go up in Tennessee every other weekend, or usually do. It's been, the why ain't been back up that way, but I've seen things crossing the road in front of me that I can't explain. And I haven't pulled my dash cam to go back and see if I could find it neither, because I got a 138 gigabyte card in it, so ain't no telling where it's at in there. But I've seen some weird stuff cross the road at night and early in the mornings when I'm heading to work or head up into Tennessee and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to explain what I've seen, though. But,
well, you got time to think about it before the next show, brother.
That's up to y'all. You know, I'm here if anybody wants to talk or anything. Y'all got me on Messenger if y'all want to question me about something.
Yep.
Or some of y'all, Jeff's got my phone number. He can throw me a message that way too, whatever.
There you go. Katy,
she got mine.
I highly thank you for coming on. I'm sure Jerry and Jeff both do as well. Thank you for sharing your experiences as always.
House is in the house. Hey, Greg.
I appreciate it.
Oh, coming in at the end, huh, Greg?
I don't.
Misty must be out there brush hogging again.
Midnight brush hogging.
Well, that's another fella I'd like to meet one day. Greg.
Dog.
Huh?
We really appreciate both of you coming on tonight.
Definitely.
I appreciate being on. Thank y'all.
And chat, thank you for being here. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Helps the show get out there in the algorithm and might make us a little bit bigger, reach more people, get more stories, more experiences. And
how many do we have in chat today?
Do what?
How many do we have in chat?
Jeff, I didn't look.
We had it. I think at one point we were over 70.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, it's good. The more people in here, the more we can, hopefully get more experiences and hear, more questions. So that's the best part of getting people in here.
We hit 601 subscribers tonight.
Nice.
That's good.
All right. Well, again, thank you, everybody.
Guys, hang out backstage and then we'll
Yeah.
shut this thing off.
Yeah, we'll shut down. And I'm going to try to shut us down here, so just be patient. I think I got this down, Pat.
Bye,
We'll see you in just a little bit. Hang on.
There's
Oh
Jerry.
boy.